Hi, this is Nimesh.
Yeah, hey, Nish. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So Madhu, hi, Srinivas here. We have everybody, so we can get started.
Okay. Thanks, Srinivas. All right. So before we get started, right, I need to understand a little bit more about your requirements also. Okay. So before even before that, can we have quick introductions? Okay. So I'll start with myself, and we also have another person on this class. His name is Gopal. Okay. And in fact, he and I both together are going to deliver this class to you. All right. He is going to assist us in the lab and practicals front throughout the class, not just in this one. And from my side, I'll be the front runner for this. I'll be giving the actual class training, and he will help us with the lab exercises and practicing. Okay. Now let me just bring this up. Okay, one sec. So, Srinivas, can you quickly tell us about yourself and then exactly what you're looking for this? And probably you can speak for all of your team, right? Because you're all from the same company.
Right. Yeah, sure, Madhu. Hi, my name is Srinivas Sathe. I have been in iGate for over 11 years now, and I am from the Infrastructure Management Services unit within iGate. All three of us are actually. So basically what we are looking to do within iGate is build expertise and build competencies across the entire DevOps tool stack and offer our services to our customers on the adoption of DevOps. Whether it be continuous integration or continuous testing or continuous deployment, or it could be the entire end-to-end process, which includes a continuous feedback too. So we have shortlisted a couple of tools that would be a part of our offering to our customers. So while going through the demo, we would like to we've had a few questions regarding the tool stack that we could ask maybe at the end of the session. So what we are mainly looking for is a hands-on, both. I would say maybe 30% theory lessons and more on the hands-on part of it as to the actual installations and integrations of the tools and how the entire tool chain gets set up to give a complete end-to-end DevOps kind of setup. So that is what we are looking for.
Okay.
Vinayak and Nimesh, would you like to add anything to this?
Right. So yeah, Nimesh here. So, sorry, go ahead.
No, Nimesh, you can go ahead.
Right. So as Srini added, Srini mentioned, I think this is exactly what we're looking for, and we can get started with that unless you need to know more information about it. So we, Srini, Vinayak, and myself, we all three are part of it, and that's where we've joined the call.
Okay, great. Thanks, Nimesh. And I guess Vinayak will be echoing the same opinion, I guess. So let me get started with this, okay? And Srinivas, like you mentioned, right, this course is exactly going to be in that percentage or format, I would say, in terms of, how much is it theory, right? In any classroom, we talk theory first. And we typically go, actually, I don't go like, theory first, practical next, not like that. We actually mix both. I mean, that's how a training should be. And it will be like 25% or so, or maybe 30% of theory, like introduction of what is what, and then everything goes into practicing exactly the tools that we use, okay? And we are going to actually talk about some tools that are most commonly used in general, right, in this infrastructure automation that, if I may say that. And, quickly, no more hiding, what we're going to talk is mostly about Chef and Jenkins, and with Git as the source code repository, and few tools like Nagios and few more for monitoring, your infrastructure. Everything is again, continuous integration for that, which is, Jenkins is used for that. Okay. Now, before I go into that, I'll actually start in detail about it. Okay. And I believe also it's not like just you three that are going to take this training, and I guess based on this, right, you might have your team take up this training. Am I right with that?
Yeah, that is right.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and can I assume that if we start at a base point in this training, which means some of the students or the engineers in the class are actually looking at these tools or methods for the first time. I would assume that not everyone in the class knows something about this already beforehand, right?
Yes. So the students or the candidates in this class, they would be experienced. So they would have about, I would say, 3 to 4 years of IT experience. But they would be looking at these tools the very first time.
Exactly, that's right. I mean, definitely you're talking about your IDGate employees already, so they're already working, but they're looking at DevOps, the methods, the process, or DevOps as a I would call it a methodology for the first time. Most of them, not everyone, right? Yeah. All right.
Correct.
Okay. So having established that, let me get started. And you know what? How am I going through this demo is I prepared rather we came up with a standard presentation. I'm using the word standard because this is what I commonly use to start with in my demo, and then based on the requirements, right, I'll mold this thing usually. Okay, so I'll go with this presentation that I prepared, but again, this is totally, it can be ad hoc, it can be customizable, it can be more interactive. I really don't have to give it like a presentation. Okay, so let me go with that. Now, quickly, if I look at it, right, so this is a presentation I have. So where is it? Let me select this. Okay, so this is what I have. This is something that I go in general. Okay, now, okay, so let me skip the first slide, go to the second one. Okay, so DevOps means development operations, right? So now how it started, history and how it started. Now, historically, if you see, right, this DevOps as such is something new. You didn't have a DevOps team back in 2000. Definitely not many organizations. Some people might have had it, but they never called it DevOps, or a defined DevOps concept was not there, right? And why it had come up is historically or traditionally we have been having developers who develop code and build a product and then give it to operations team, production support teams, deployment teams, or end up the sysadmins too, right, who actually run the production environment. And then it is deployed or implemented, and once it is implemented, then throughout its course, right, you might learn, there are some bugs or there are some new features required. End of the day, some feedback learned in the production environment and is given back to the developers. Now, there was no direct connection between these two. Also, developers developed something, and there was a little bit of a blame game also between developers and the production support teams. Who owns what, and there were a lot of delays introduced between developers and then how sysadmins or the operations people managed it. Okay, so end of the day, there were delays. To reduce these delays, to have some synergy or to bridge that gap, right, this DevOps methodologies or DevOps teams started forming. Okay, so it's DevOps is all about increasing the speed of delivery of a product, end of the day, right, and then efficiently and without errors, and also increasing communication between all the teams. Okay, that's the history. Now I quoted some fact here, like around 2007 a movement started in Europe. So this is common. I mean, yeah, this is officially how DevOps started, but if you ask me, it doesn't have to be just Europe alone, right? It's everywhere, all over the world this has started. Okay, so that's the history of DevOps. Now let me go to the next thing. All right, okay, so we know in short what a DevOps, or rather how this DevOps thing has started. Okay, now what are the prerequisites for someone to become a DevOps engineer? Okay, now there is nothing like you need to learn, for example, somebody to become Java expert, or somebody to become a, if I come to infrastructure side, an MCNC certification or a CCNA certification to become a Microsoft engineer or a network engineer, nothing like that, okay? So you can be a developer, who knows production, who wants to, who has that end-to-end knowledge of production, can become a DevOps engineer. At the same time, vice versa, from a system admin field or from operations field, someone who knows little bit of how development works, some concepts in the software development lifecycle, can definitely become a DevOps engineer. Now, at a ground level, what kind of technologies or tools that I will need to know? Definitely, you need to know a little bit of scripting knowledge, programming. I won't go so deep into saying programming knowledge, but understand someone came to you with some code, right? Some Perl code or some Bash code or some Ruby code. You should be able to just get the logic, be able to understand the code. That coding skills are sufficient. And then there are some tools, all the tools that I mentioned, right? For configuration management, like Chef or anything, So we'll talk about those tools also. All right, so they are the prerequisites at a very high level. We'll talk in detail, towards the end of it. Okay. Now, again, defining DevOps, like I mentioned, right? So what is DevOps? I will actually read through this line I mentioned over here. DevOps is a software development method, yes, that stresses communication, collaboration, and integration between developers and IT professionals, the operations teams, right? So DevOps is basically a response to the independence of software development and IT operations. So that independent nature of developers and IT operations teams, this is bridging the gap, creating a synergy, right? So like I mentioned in the beginning. Now, so a DevOps team or a DevOps engineer, right, as a method, whatever, however you put it, what does it achieve? What are the responsibilities or roles of it? Okay, so I mentioned a lot of things here. We know these were done manually, if you ask me, right? Until now, installation of server hardware and operating system was done manually, or there was probably an automation, like if I go a little bit into server, right, or Unix servers, for example, for Linux servers, for example, you might had some kickstart or some kind of methods in the past until now to install OS. But that's not everything, right? There are a lot of things that still need to be automated. And configuring these servers, any configuration changes, configuring network, storage, monitoring. Yes, you had a monitoring software, but by implementing DevOps, you can actually bring that into a central, should I say, dashboard sort of a thing by implementing DevOps. Okay. Likewise, you can handle your outages better. You can have a good control on your IT security if you implement DevOps properly, right, using the tools that we're going to talk about, right? And you can manage your phone systems, which are VIPes, right, or even network also, if you have DevOps implemented well. Change management, and you can actually manage your backups. You can manage your DRs, disaster recovery, exercises, or in case of actual disaster happens, right? How do you handle it? Even that can be controlled, if you properly implement or adopt DevOps, right? Same, you can manage your Active Directory, right? Your LDAP or Active Directory, which is actually your authentication system. You can use it for asset management, asset tracking, inventory as well, very well, right? If you have your DevOps implementation, having full control over your IT assets, tracking them is very easy. With my experience, I have seen, I won't even say 99, 100 out of 100 times, right? Every organization is facing this issue, maintaining an inventory, right? You always have some lost assets. You always have some orphan assets. That can also be solved, right? If you really adapt this DevOps end to end. So DevOps is a solution to really solving all these miseries or issues that you have, right? Now, again, if you look at this little picture at the bottom, or even this picture, right? Let me actually increase this size. I could have done this, but let me see. Yeah. Yeah, you should be able to see this, right? Okay. Now, if you look at it, right, DevOps, this picture tells a lot of things here. Okay. So the development team, which is an yellow circle here, the QA team, which is a purple circle, and then the operations team, which is I can say light blue or aqua blue. Okay. So the DevOps team sits in between. They understand everything. It's like a intersection of your development, QA, and then technology operations teams. That way, they'll be able to really make things faster, right? Now, so this is another way of representing it, the picture in this squarish, picture here. DevOps team is actually controlling everything end to end, from application till infrastructure. Earlier development was just responsible for just application and platform, sometimes not even platform, right? And operations was responsible for platform till infrastructure. But DevOps team can actually manage all this, using our continuous integration and deployment tools that we're going to talk, right? Okay, so let me go to the next thing. Now, this is again another representation. If you see, the problem we had without or with DevOps model. Okay, so like you see in the first picture, okay, the development team, they were working in silos. There was no proper coordination or communication between the development and then various other teams, QA and operations teams, right? So same thing. I'll not go much deep into this picture again, but this tells you in a pictorial manner. In development team, probably when they were individually testing their code on their workstation, let's say they're doing unit testing, it all worked fine. But once they put this code into a central repository, they built it, and probably in SIT or even UAT, even then probably it might have worked. But when we put it into pre-prod or even production, it was not working. So ops guy says it was not working, something happened. So there was a break, there was some communication gap. Now, if I implement continuous integration, right? So there is a documented proof of everything that is happening, and there is no delay. And if there is a bug, it is very quickly identified in a DevOps model. Now, that's what this bottom thing says. In fact, there are no lines, there are no A to B pointers here. It's just continuous. Straight away, there is a direct communication between your developers and then your operations teams, right? So we'll talk a little bit, or we'll get to that a little bit more in detail in the next slides. Now, again, some differences here. Okay, in conventional way, how it happened, or in automated way, how it happened in terms of setting up of infrastructure, for example. Okay, so in conventional way, you always manually set up the servers. Okay, you always, the processes that were used were not repeatable. Every time a new server is built, you had to sit in front of it and then probably build it, right? And it was not probably easily testable, and scalability constraints were there. Maybe scalability is due to having older technologies like physical hardware or anything, right? Now, combining DevOps with technologies like virtualization and cloud, you can actually increase, or rather decrease this scalability constraints. Now, in a conventional way, Dev was never in how should I put, in line with QA, was never in line with product, right? Which is all solved in your automated way. You can set up servers in a very automated fashion, and you create sort of a, how do I put it, a template, a profile, right, that you can apply to a certain category of servers. So whenever I need to implement, or rather build a new server, you can just look into your catalog. Okay, this new server has to be of this type, and then simply you can apply that, or you can build a new box using that profile. So it's repeatable, right? Whatever you're doing is repeatable. And then because it's so predictable, it's so controlled, right? The testing is very easy, right? And same thing, scalability, like I mentioned, right? In when you use virtualization or cloud, right? Your scalability issues are solved. And same, your development, Q and prod are all in sync, working in a synergy. Okay, so that's quickly in a tabular form, like what are the advantages that you get if you're automating your things. So let me go to the next one. Okay, so this is another thing. Usually, like I said, right, I came up with this presentation to answer a few questions that people have when it comes to DevOps, right? Now, for example, a lot of guys get confused between what is DevOps, how is it connected to cloud computing and virtualization. If you ask me, cloud computing, virtualization, and DevOps are all independent things, but which work together to achieve something better, right? So I'll not go into what is cloud computing, what is virtualization. We know, right? So the first thing that came up of these three is virtualization. This is way back, right? At least 10, 15 years or even more. So what is virtualization? You don't need to buy 3 individual servers for 3 different applications, which is waste of resources. So I'll buy one platform and create virtual servers on it. I could be using Hyper-V or ESX or anything, right? And create virtual servers or virtual machines use them, and you allocate resources as required to this virtual machine. So that's virtualization. Simply, virtualization reduced cost for organizations, right? And rather effectively utilized your resources, your computing resources, really, CPU, RAM, and yeah, mainly. And yeah, you can do virtualization in the storage as well. You have a lot of stuff in storage, but mostly whenever I say virtualization, we talk about CPU and RAM a lot, in the ESX world, right? And then cloud computing is the next thing, which made server delivery fast, to be very fast, right? And then it's like servers are available on the go. They're readily available, right? I really look at it. Even in the virtualization case, somebody wanted a server. That server took a lot of time to be purchased, installed, powered up, and then OS installed and given to your client or customer, right? I'm a company, I'm a startup company. I have to start something. And if I have to go out in the market, buy something, buy a hardware, and then install some operating system, give it to my, put it up and running, it's taking more time. Instead, I can go to AWS or any cloud service provider quickly. I use my credit card, buy a server, bring it up. By tomorrow morning, I'll have everything ready. So cloud is like your infrastructure is not with you. It's readily available, ready to use from a third-party provider. So that's cloud computing. A very high-level, quick, dirty explanation for your virtualization and cloud computing. Now, so DevOps is not cloud computing, is not virtualization. DevOps is, you might be using physical servers or virtualized infrastructure or cloud computing, but you might have the problem of developers and QA and your operations team working in silos. Whatever underlying platform that you're using, you might still have those issues in delivering a product, right? So DevOps can be adopted. You might be using a physical infrastructure, physical servers. You can still implement DevOps. You might be using virtualized infrastructure, yet you could need DevOps. Same thing goes with cloud also. Now, of all these three, or rather between the virtualization and cloud computing, we know cloud is the new and a hot thing. So what's hot in the world, what's hot in the market? You provide your clients, okay, their applications, whatever they need in cloud, and you use DevOps methodologies with that. So that's the best of the lot, right? Best of the combination. So most of the times DevOps with cloud computing as a platform, right? Underlying platform is really the ultimate thing that everyone is looking at, right? So some definitions are given in this slide here. What is IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS? Infrastructure as a service, you just get boxes, some CPU, some compute only. That's your infrastructure as a service, IT infrastructure. So the platform as a service is you get some platform, right? Computing platform along with it. Like you could be getting Apache or Oracle DB or MySQL DB, whatever you want, right? Some tools also, like you might be needing some Visual Studio, I don't know, right? So you get some platform also on it for developers to just plug in and then work. So software as a service, as we know in cloud, it's everything ready, right? I want email for 50 users for my company, each needing 100 GB mailbox. Boom, I pay, I use it, right? You have this virtual desktops, VDI, right? So every company is now using VDI. What is VDI? You have a virtual desktop, you just need an IP, username, password, login, and then whatever applications that are provisioned for you in your VDI, you get them. So that's software as a service. It's like total package together. So that's cloud for you, okay? So these are at a high level, the different differences or the differentiation between cloud, virtualization, and then the DevOps, right? So DevOps is independent of cloud or virtualization, but yes, DevOps is used or used in conjunction with cloud or virtualized infrastructure to make the delivery more sophisticated for your clients. Now, okay, so now let me get to this one, straight into this. Different tools and technologies that are used in DevOps, okay? So for configuration of your server and then automation of anything, right? Server configuration, or could be deploying, I won't say deploying yet, but yeah, deploying. In fact, I need to deploy an Apache to a server, right? We call it nodes in Chef, but yeah, I need to deploy Apache. I need to upgrade Apache. I need to change the configuration settings in /etc of a particular node or server, right? So what tools I use? You have all these tools here, right? Chef is a tool that's used for configuration. Vagrant is a tool that's used for I can say spinning up your machines, right? So you can spin up a virtual machine, a workstation. So that could be a node, right, for your chef. And Jenkins is really the orchestrator in this entire process. Okay, so now like you mentioned, right, this is in fact the core, I would say. In fact, everything is important, not just Jenkins, but Jenkins is the core in your continuous integration and continuous deployment, that CI/CD pipeline that we say, right? So what is that CI/CD pipeline? You have, I think I have a slide for that, which is coming here. Okay, so if you look at this, right, you might be doing unit test. Okay, in fact, I could actually put up a better picture than this. Do I have anything? Yeah, no problem. Okay, look at this. This pipe here is my CI/CD pipe. Okay, now DevOps also will make this process flow seamlessly. How? Using a tool like I mentioned here, right? Jenkins. Okay, so what it does, for example, you have some version control system, for example, Git. Okay, so development team develops something, and then they make sure that everything is fine. They actually check that code into your version control system. Okay, so as soon as they check it out, rather check in, right, you will then, using Jenkins, right, check out that code, put it in some environment, probably for unit testing. Okay, you run your unit tests. So you will collect the results. Okay, if the results are positive, then you will again put it in your regression test environment. Okay, in fact, I'm talking about just unit test and regression test here, but in general, right, most commonly used environments that we say is after the unit testing is done, you put it in you put it in your SIT, right, integration test, system integration test. Once system integration tests are done, you will again, you can look at the test results, everything is positive, then you actually deploy that in your UAT environment. In fact, you might have even multiple environments in between, depending on the customer type that you have, right? Okay, so I put it in my UAT. Okay, so same thing happens in UAT as well. It is tested, you collect the test results. If everything is positive, then it will go to your pre-prod, and then same thing happens there, and then from there it will go into your production environment also. Now, starting from development, when the developer checks in, right, as soon as the developer checks in, you can kick off this Jenkins. I mean, I'm taking Jenkins here. Okay, so you can kick off this Jenkins CI/CD job that will ensure that this code that I'm talking about, right, is delivered continuously till the end, till the production environments. So that's continuous integration in the sense you are integrating with all the environments, and then last one that's happening is the deployment, right? So that's continuous deployment. Now, in fact, this is just at a high level that I'm talking about right now, and towards the end of this, right, we will have Gopal explain you with some screenshot, right, in Jenkins, how is it done. That's the actual exercise part of it. Okay, so that's your DevOps workflow at a very high level. Now I'm going back those couple of slides. Okay, so for configuration and automation, these are, I'm sorry, yeah.
Madhu, hi, Srinivas here. Just one question I had here at this point was I was looking at your curriculum that is given on your website. So okay. These 3 test environments that you talk about, yeah. Are you going to cover any of the integration with any of the test tools like Selenium, for example? So integration of Selenium with Jenkins, or integration of JUnit or NUnit for unit testing. So those tools, are they also covered as a part of this course?
Well, as part of the course right now, they are not covered. When it comes to this integration, right, what we will do is, okay, so Gopal is replying no, but that's right. Okay, So as part of this, we will be taking some, let's say, some code, right? We'll be taking some examples. For example, you know, deploying Apache, or example. Maybe Gopal, you can add here, you know, how we are going to do the practicals. Okay. So is it possible to actually do that, Gopal?
No, actually, what we are doing is what we integrate total pipeline in Jenkins using some plugins. So we'll help you how to integrate using Git into the environments. And unit test we are not going to cover. So using plugins. So we just go through the deployment process, how the DevOps. So which as unit test comes with the testing teams like commonly.
Okay. And one more quick question, and I'll let you proceed, was regarding the deployment of applications. So application deployment using various deployment tools, like, for example, IBM Urban Code. So would any of those tools also be a part of the curriculum?
No. Actually, we are providing only few tools in this class. So something like Jenkins, Git, Nexus, and Chef.
Yeah. So Gopal, the question is like, you know, deploying applications. So which applications are we going to show in the exercise, right? For example, we talk about deploying Apache some modules, right? And some DB modules, right? So which modules that you know that we will be covering? Is that a question, Srinivas?
Yeah, rather, I would say more than modules. I was talking more of like a custom developed application, for example. So if you want to deploy that onto an application server, like a VAS server or a Tomcat or a JBoss, what are the tools that we would be using to deploy to any of these application servers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here we come with.
Gopal, go ahead. Yeah.
Here we come up with Jenkins, like get the code what you want to deploy into the applications. Using these Jenkins, we'll be deploying the code into that particular applications.
Yeah.
Suppose
Srinivas,
yeah.
So to keep it short, right? Custom code deployment, yes, we can do that. We can cover that also. So yes, Jenkins is capable of doing that, so we can do that. So in fact, you know, as an example, we took some sample modules, right? And then we're using, or rather showing that, or rather how to deploy this. Now, if you have custom code, I would say it's the same as any of the pre-packaged applications. So it shouldn't be too much different as far as how Jenkins is going to do the integration and deployment.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so
thank you. That's all.
One sec. Okay. All right. Okay. So this, where am I? So this is the part, right? You know, what are we covering in Jenkins? But yes, custom code, we can do that. I mean, Gopal, it's not like we have a you know, a pre-defined set of application integration and deployment that we're going to show. We can take up a custom job and do that. I guess we can do that, Gopal. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. So guys, if you see some noise in between, that's my my kid, you know, so just ignore that, okay? They're in the next room. All right,
sure,
let me go
no
back.
problem. So Madhu, one more question. So it's related to, again, the tools which we are talking for this DevOps. So you're saying Jenkins. So can you just let us know which all tools you'll be covering? I missed a few of them. I think you said it very fast. So you said Jenkins, Jet, Nagios, all of those tools you are going to cover in this training.
Right.
As a concept, we understand, but then the practicals, which the hands-on, which is going to be on which all tools?
Yeah, exactly. Now you mentioned, right? If you are able to see the slide here, I quickly put up something here, right? All these are covered: Chef, Vagrant, Jenkins, with Git and Nexus. I mean, that's the highlight, right? That's the highlight of this DevOps. So that's the I can say end-to-end set. At the same time, you know, how do I do the monitoring? GNOS and CloudWatch. Okay. In fact, Nagios also can be a server monitoring health check. You know, combination of that, right? So what I see here, and then we also talk about JConsole and then Logstash and everything, right? So this is for your log management and analytics, right? Or analysis. How do I put it? Okay. Now, on the same note, let me go back here. Okay. into the table of contents, right? Now, chapter 1 and chapter 2 are really the the kickoff or the platform, just the introduction basics. We go for 2-3 days for this. This is the real theory part, and once this is done, chapter 3 onwards, it's really hands-on. Okay, and what we do, chef in depth, we cover in detail everything. This is the main orchestrator, or rather this is the main configuration tool that we use. Okay, so we do cover chef end to end. Okay, I mean, I won't really say end to end. Chef is a huge thing, but from the DevOps point of view, whatever is required, all that is covered in chef. Okay, the next thing, we cover Vagrant. So what is Vagrant? Vagrant, your spin-up tool, right? So how do we use Vagrant? How do we use Vagrant to spin up a box, or how should I put it, workstation or a node to be used with chef? So we take the combination of Vagrant and chef. How do we use those two together, right? Next, for source code management, we talk about Git, right? So how do I set up Git? It's a simple, RPM, get it, install it, right? So that's simple. And once I install it, we make the configuration. How do I configure it to be used with, again, our requirements? And the Nexus, right? So we can use Nexus in combination with Git, right, to manage our source code. So as far as the source code management is concerned, we will cover Git and Nexus. Next thing, for continuous integration, Jenkins. So we spoke about this, right? So this is also the main tool that is used in your entire DevOps process right now. So once that is done, we go to Nagios, Genos, all the monitoring and all health check tools that we talk about. And it doesn't mean that we cover only this. I mean, we came up with this list because this is the used in our environment, and at the same time most commonly used environment also in general, right? Now, once this is done, if you ask me, until here the DevOps tools together is done. Okay, so chapter 8 and 9 are by the way, another thing I need to cover is we will talk about integration in 3 ways here, right? If you look at this, right, go back to this slide. Where was that? Okay, so how to adopt DevOps in physical environment, we will definitely cover that, and virtualized environment, we will cover that. So how do we do that? We'll have a chef server and we'll have a physical node. Okay, so how do I integrate that? How do I deploy a custom software like you mentioned using Jenkins into that physical node? Same thing we do with a virtual machine also, and same thing we will do with a cloud node also. Okay, so we'll hook up a AWS node into this. Okay, a mini box, right? A T2 T2 host or node, and then we will actually show you exactly how do I do this integration and deployment on that also using chef, chef, Jenkins and everything. Okay, so we'll take up a cloud node, a virtual node, and then a physical node also, and show you that. Okay, so let me go back to this again, and that's what we were talking about here, right? That's if you see general environment setup steps in AWS. So it's like this is the additional thing, like a quick look at your AWS console, and how do I set up a server. You can also do that yourself, right? You get some free hours on AWS, so we'll show you that also. Just an additional thing, how to work in the cloud, AWS cloud and Entity Cloud. And look at the chapter 8. This is typical, how do I put it, the typical ITIL thing. So I think at your level you probably know this already, but some of the staff, if you think it's helpful. In fact, we find this a lot useful for a lot of the people who come to this DevOps course for the first time, right? They might not know, or people who have not worked in the infrastructure side might not know ITIL. So we give some brief introduction about how this works in an enterprise organization, right? So how the configuration management works, how is incident management, and how is change management, and then how is problem management handled. Quickly give a snapshot of what kind of tools you use. You might be using some anything, right? You might be, for example, ServiceNow or HP Service Manager, or EMC Infra, or Remedy. Any tools that we use, how they just give a glimpse of how this is done. You'll have a change control board, change, all CAB and all those things. So give that knowledge also to the people, rather to the to candidates, so that they understand that also. Now, people who are already working in infrastructure might know this, but this is an add-on thing that we do, okay? And once this is done, towards the end, right, we'll have 1 or 2 classes to talk in general about, you know, other tools. Puppet is a equal runner, you know, running tool for Chef, right? Puppet is also used, but between Puppet and Chef is more common. So this course is focused mostly on Chef, okay? And we'll talk about Docker. Docker is similar to your background, right? So if you have something, or if you are using Docker, then we go into Docker also, but that's towards the end. So at a high level, what this course talks about is these tools, okay? Chef, Vagrant, Jenkins with Git and Nexus, Gina's CloudWatch, Nagios. We show you, by the way, once I'm done now, Gopal is going to run you through what exactly are we going to do. So he'll quickly show you wherever possible, actually do it and show you, and wherever not possible, we have captured some screenshots. He will show you those screenshots, okay? And also, before I hand it over to Gopal, what we are going to do as far as practice is concerned, right, for candidates, we are setting up an environment, okay? It's already up, but what we do is every time we start a new class, we set up a vanilla environment, you know, a brand new from the scratch, okay? And then we create IDs for individuals, you know, all the candidates, and give it to them so that they can practice. And once the class is done, I mean, this environment is available only from the day 1 till the last day of the class. Once that is done, you know, the access is, you know, again, all those environment that is created is taken out, okay? So that's quickly. So we skipped a few slides, but you know, I think we covered the gist of it, okay? Yeah, what slide that we skipped is this one, okay? So I really won't go much deeper into it, but this is at a very, very high level how Chef will look, okay? So what this talks about is you will have a Chef server, the Chef enterprise server, you know, every node, be it a virtual or a physical, or even if it is from a cloud, right, AWS or anything, it is seen as a node object. And for Chef, you will have an administration workstation where you will have all the settings done, obviously, and then you'll have something called cookbooks, okay? And these cookbooks are really the blueprint, if I have to, right? So the blueprint of exactly what you want to deploy. Okay, so the cookbooks will contain all the information. Okay, so the cookbooks are, where are they stored? They are in your Chef repository. You take the cookbooks from Chef repository. Knife is a, how do I put it, is an administrative plugin or API for your Chef server. Using Knife, he will show you, by the way, Gopal is going to show you all this right now. Okay, so through Knife, you actually deploy these cookbooks to a node object or the Chef clients. Okay, so that's how Chef works. This is a very high level. He's going to show you now, and this is really the practicals that we are going to do. And then we are going to integrate, like I mentioned, right? Integrate this with your Vagrant and then your Jenkins mainly. Okay, so that's at a high level, and these are the table of contents. Okay, so let me finish. So first couple of chapters, you know, we give all the basic terminology introduction. Some of this might be already known to some of the candidates, but again, it could be a good refresher. If not, you know, if they don't know, right, it could be a good start as well, right? So first 3-4 classes could go for the introduction to this, and then next, let's say second week onwards, we are rather 5th or 6th hour onwards, we get into Chef, and then to Vagrant, then to you know, how do you do source code management, Nexus, Jenkins CI, and then Nagios, Gina's, and then onto other things. Okay, so again, before I hand it over to Gopal, the course duration is going to be like, you know, approximately 40 to 45 hours. You know, it also depends on how we go through, right? So I really don't always have a fixed number of hours like a clock, you know, because I try to keep it interactive, be it even in the theory or even the practical part that we do. That's because, you know, end of the day, if it's not interactive, I wouldn't even know how am I delivering, or are the candidates understanding it or not. So because of that, if everyone is picking up well, we could be done in 35 to 40 hours itself. Or sometimes it could extend, you know, if we are running into some issues. Like, for example, you can take up some cases from your environment, okay, because this is like all for one organization, one team here, right? And you know, deploying the custom code that you talked about now, right? We could actually try that, right, in our environment, and we can go through that. Okay, so again, that's all from me. And you have any questions, you can shoot. Otherwise, what I'll do is I'll hand this over to Gopal so that he can show you quickly, a snapshot of the practicals that we are going to do.
Cool. I mean, we can. Gopal can start. So now after that, we'll have our questions.
All right, super. Okay, so let me. Gopal, can you take over this? Actually, let me stop sharing my screen. Okay.
Yeah, you need to make me presenter.
Okay, where is this? Wow. Okay, this. Make presenter. Yes. Okay. So you are able to do that? Okay, yeah. I can see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Manu. Thanks for your session. Okay. So let me go through the practical sessions, what we are going to cover in the training classes. So this is how Amazon console looks. I think most of you are aware. So even I'm showing again. So we'll what we'll do is we are going to create servers in the Amazon, and after creating those servers, what we'll do is with the help of Knife, we are going to install some of the applications in the server using Chef. Not only installing through the automation, we'll be going through the manual process also. We'll be logging into the servers and we'll be showing how to do that. And this is about AWS console, and this is about how Chef console looks. So this is how Chef console looks, and you can see node 1, test 2, and test 1. So these are the servers which we registered in the Chef commonly. So in Chef terminology, server is called as node. Not only servers, any cloud, any network, wherever the Chef client is installed, that get registered in the Chef, and the element which registered with the Chef is called as a node in Chef terminology. So we have a Chef, and once the Chef client installed, it get all the details from the server, like it get the platform and IP address, FQDN, and what is the last uptime of the server, what is the last check-in, and if someone check-in with the server, so it gives all the check-in time, and it gives the environment details, and you can see all the details of the server. What are the run list? Run list means, so if on any server you want to execute any applications, like suppose if you have 10 servers, if you want to install Apache application on all 10 servers, what you can do is you have to add those Apache cookbooks into the run list. So I'll be telling what are the cookbooks. So we will be adding all the cookbooks into this run list. So once we add into the run list, so we have a pull mechanism in the Chef. Like this is not a push mechanism. Chef has a pull mechanism. So for every some set of time, Chef client will be reaching to the Chef server and asking what I need to execute. Immediately Chef server will be saying this is a cookbooks you have to execute in server. Immediately Chef client will be execute on the particular server or cloud, any virtual or physical VM. So that's how it works. Chef works here. So we can see all the cookbooks are present under the policy section. So policies are what we want to execute on the server. So those that is called as policy. So in policy section we have cookbooks. So cookbooks is nothing but what you want to do on the server. You write into a cookbook. Suppose if I want to install Apache application on a server, so I write that particular total code, that total Ruby. We have to write a Ruby code in a cookbook, so that all the installation steps you put into the Ruby code into a cookbook, and you put into the Chef console and execute that particular cookbook on the server. So roles are nothing but we put some set of roles on the servers, like particular this server, like if this server belongs to AWS, it has to execute some roles. If it belongs to some Azure applications, it has to execute, or otherwise all the cookbooks can be managed under the roles. So depending upon the number of cookbooks you execute, you can put under the roles as well. And coming to database, which you want to manage some security type of things, like Suppose you have to manage your passwords, you have to manage your 10 keys or some keys type of things which can be put under the database. Suppose example, on a server you want to add 100 users, 100 users. So for after adding 100 users into the server, it has to generate some 100 passwords for each and every single user. So that can be done through the database. Not only this, the registration keys, everything you are put under the database. So which will be using for in the chef. And the environment section is nothing but different environments in organization. Like suppose Dev, SIT, Beta, all the environments we can create in in single organization. Okay, so this can be put in an environment. So clients are nothing but clients contain all the keys of your organizations, like your organization key and your node keys. Like all the security key details will be present under the client section. So this is about policies, and coming to administration thing. So in administration, you can manage your organizations. So here I have some set of organizations, D1, D2, JP, Spark 1. So and single node can be added into only one organization. Okay, so one node cannot be added into multiple organizations. So single node can be registered with only one organization, because the organization will be creating a validation key. Under the validation key, all these nodes will be adding over there. So in the class, I'll be showing you. I'll be creating a servers in Amazon and using my knife. So this is my workstation. I installed knife on my workstation. So this is a plugin. Knife is a plugin which will be helping you to connect between a server which is a plain vanilla server. You doesn't have any of your file over VM. So with the help of knife, what I will do is I will do a bootstrap, and I will access this server, and I will be installing all the chef on this particular vanilla server. And what I will do is I will apply all my required cookbooks and I'll execute on that. So once I execute it, the application will be hosted automatically. So in the training class, I'll be showing you all these things, like how to bootstrap a server, how to execute a cookbooks on the server. All these things a DevOps a person is going to do. And so this is about Chef. So you have any queries on Chef? Just you can raise your voice.
One question I had, hi, Srinivas here,
Yeah.
was not specific to Chef, but to any of these tools. So during the class, will we be able to actually do the installation of all these tools also?
Yes. What I will do is, I will, first of all, in the class, I will be going through installation things. I will be sharing my screen, and I will be doing installation on a VM. So after that, I will be sharing your documents, and once you receive the documents, you can practice from your end. So next day morning, you come up with your things, like if installation is successful, you can know. If you have faced any issues in the class, first 10 minutes we'll be going through the troubleshooting steps.
Yeah, so this is Madhav, okay? So yes, Srinivas, we will cover the installation also, which is very important, right? If you're going to adapt to DevOps for the first time, definitely you need to know how to do the installations, right? So that's, going to be, like I said, right, that as soon as we start talking about Chef, one of the important thing is we will actually do the installation, okay, and then show you. Similar thing, like how do I set up Jenkins, how do I start that, Vagrant or anything, right? We will talk about installation also, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, we will going through how to install Jenkins and Nexus, Nagios, Git. We'll be installing on the servers. So, and we'll be sharing the documents with you. And from your end, we'll be giving access to the environment where you can spin up the servers yourself and just create just install the application on those VMs. So this is about Chef. This is an automation tool which used for provisioning of servers. So not only creating servers manually and doing a bootstrap. So we'll be with the help of my knife. What I can do is I can create a server over Amazon. I'll be installing the Chef client. Without I will not be logging to the Amazon. using my workstation itself, I will be creating and installing all the required chef client and all the cookbooks. I will be going through those sessions as well. Okay, and coming
so
to
it's
next
basically
thing.
deploying to your sorry, this is Madhav Gopal. So it's basically deploying to your AWS node using Chef. So you have cookbooks for that also. You don't even have to. I mean, that's automation, right? So that is also covered. So what like I mentioned, right? We talk about integrating your AWS nodes also. That's what Gopal is saying. Okay.
Yeah. So an example. So how like I will show you cookbooks. So basically cookbooks are not developed by DevOps. Cookbooks are developed by developer team, and they will be providing the cookbooks to the DevOps. Okay. So once you depend upon your DevOps requirement, like if you have a chef development team, they will be developing the cookbooks and they'll provide the cookbooks. So what DevOps person has to do is they have to execute those cookbooks on the environments. Suppose if I want to install Jenkins application in any of the environments, so suppose an example, I have a Jenkins cookbook where it contains all the recipes, attributes, files, and templates, which is interrelated to one after the one. So the main installation things are put into the recipes folder, so which is written in the Ruby code. So where these are the files which are interrelated. So for Windows, we have it will do a Windows Jenkins will be installing Windows, and depending on Linux, it will be installing on the Linux. So that's how it works. So if I go and edit this one, so you can see here. So how it will check the Jenkins version. This is how cookbooks works. So Jenkins version number must be specified. So all this will be getting through the from the repository where we store our cookbooks things. Like on S3, but commonly we store all our installation things. So from over there, it will get all these details. So this is how Chef works in an DevOps. So coming to next tool, Nexus. So Nexus is a repository where all your code will be putting into here. So a developer will be developing the code and putting the Git repository. Once he put into the Git, so we'll be merging the code into the master branch. So in the Git, we'll have some set of branches like master, develop. So developer will be putting the code into development. So once he put and he check out, a DevOps has to merge the code from develop to the master branch. So in the master branch, we'll be creating some tags. We'll create some like unique tag for each and every code. So after creating tags, we'll be creating jar files and we'll putting into the Nexus for which means that is ready for the deployment. So you can see some ready for releases. So we're putting some creating some folders over here and putting the code over here. So like here. So if anyone to verify the code over here, just download the code and can verify here. So you cannot modify the code in the Nexus. Whereas in the Git you can modify over there, but Nexus you cannot modify. Once you put once you put the code into the Nexus, that means it's ready for the deployment. So from here Jenkins will be picking up the code from the Nexus and will putting into the environments depending upon environments. So this is how it works. So like how Git works is, so commonly Git can be checking from my local workstation. You don't need to log into the servers. Where you from my workstation, I will be installing Git bash and I'll be configuring with my servers and where I can create some like example like users Expedia home. So for what you can do is in your organization, suppose if you have some iGate, you can create some iGate thing, and in that you can create some set of projects. In the projects, you can mention a lot of projects you have. So I have created a demo project over here. So if I want to, what a developer will be doing is, first of all, DevOps person has to create a projects in the Git in the server. So and we have to give the access to the a developer. What developer will be doing is he will be using the Git, what you'll do is you'll clone this particular repository from the Git server. What you'll do is like Git clone. Suppose you want to SSH this particular server. So what we gonna do is you have to provide some user, like you have given some access to user developer. You have developer name as like I keep as root. You have to SSH to the root and at the rate, like suppose server is 10.168.25.11. So I put here and I will give this path. Like suppose this is a path I want to clone. So I want to clone in project section. I want to clone this demo. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clone this. You can enter any phrase if you define under SSH. So and you have to give your password for connecting the server, which you are going to clone that particular folder. And if you clone, so sorry, I have not initiated this one. So let me check if any users present in here. I can clone it. So I have one more one. So we created one more project over here under the session. So if I want to do this one, I'll do a clone over here. So basically what I have done is let me clone and show you. Let me explain over here. So somehow I think some issue with my Git repository. So that's why I'm unable to clone. So from here I will be cloning the server. From a developer can clone the particular repository from here, and he can access the server over there. And what he can do is he can, once the code is downloaded into the local repository, what he can do is he can edit all these things. And he can again push the code into the particular projects. So this is how things works in the Git repository. So once you are done, we'll be having a tag into this, and we'll putting into the Nexus. So once we're done, using with the help of Jenkins, we'll be deploying the code into the environments. This is how things works between the Git, Jenkins, and Nexus. So coming to the next tool, we'll be going to...
Good one, Gopal. So like you have some screenshots you made for Jenkins, right? Maybe if you have some, right? Quickly show it. I know you are not able to connect to Jenkins right now, but yeah. So show some of the screenshots, which
this is how Jenkins page looks like. Okay. This is how Jenkins page looks like, and we can see over here. And once this is how we need to create jobs in the Jenkins. Like if you want to create any new job, just we have to, once login, we have to click a new item. So you can see all the items over here. So you with the help of different flows, this doesn't comes under with the default Jenkins. We have to install the plugins for each and every job. So once we install the plugins, we can see over here. So I can build a freestyle software project which comes with a default plugin, like a default Jenkins one. So multiple projects which we need to install plugin, where you want to manage your multiple projects with one single job, and like building 2x3 of projects and build flows. Each and different plugs. We have different plugins in the for Jenkins. So I'll be going through all these plugins where we can install over here, and coming to continuous integration in Jenkins, it's look like this. It's not clear. So
Picture is
actually,
blurred a
I'm
little
able
bit,
to.
but yeah, we'll when we actually connect to the tool, it'll be a lot obviously
Yeah.
clear and better. Okay, so I mean, yeah, no, you can go through those quickly, Gopal.
So here,
So
if you
basically, how
see,
the pipeline is done, right? Yeah.
yeah. So here if we see, we are putting the first of all we are putting the a developer will put in the code into development. After that, a DevOps person has to put the code into SIT. So in SIT, first of all, you will put the code here. So here all the we'll have the all the applications over here, where we'll be putting will be uh, pushing the code from Nexus into the all the applications. Once the code push into all the applications, immediately it will go into the test, SAT test. We'll be doing a unity test and regression test. We'll be having two test cases over here. So, which is for sanity testation to bring the environment up immediately once deployment is completed successfully. And afterwards, an regression test where end-to-end comes over here. So once this is come, immediately the code will move into the beta. So once we move into the beta, we'll move into the product into all the applications and immediately into the we'll be doing testing and immediately the environment that is beta. And after beta, we'll be going into the prod fix environments. Commonly, we do a prod fix environments because we have to make sure everything goes smooth. We'll be replicating the production environment as a prod to fix. After a beta environment, we'll be putting in the code into the prod fix environment, where we have to make sure like production is after deploying the code, the production is 100% is up. So we are by putting the code into a prod fix environment, we will be coming up with the results. Which if it says 100%, that means we are smooth to go into the production. This is how a continuous integration. Like before these automation plugins, like a developer and operation team has to sit all together over nights and nights for deploying codes. Whenever we got all these automation tools, once you click the button in the SIT environment, the continuous integration deployment will be going. So once it's done, it will go to this step, into this step, into this step, and immediately once the results are coming, immediately a particular management will get the emails of a SIT environment, and automatically after some set of time, it will be triggered into the other environments. So this is how environments works. Like once you trigger at night the job, you go for a sleep and come at early morning to office, check your results, all the environment results. If any job failed any of the places, you'll get an emails, and one email will be going to some service desk. In commonly in every project we have some service desk team, right? So for 24/7, so the particular team will be going that email, and they will be calling up you saying some job got failed. So they're asking us to check over there. So once a DevOps person has to come over and he has to analyze these things, and if he is able to fix the issue, he has to fix the issue, and he has to re-trigger the job. And if any code issue, what happens? Will be informing the developers. Developer will be what developer will be doing is he will be he'll be fixing the issue. Again, he has to put the code into only into development environment. He cannot put directly code into the beta environment. Suppose the code got failed in the beta, he cannot come and he has to fix the code, and cannot put into the beta environment. He has to put the code into beta, again dev environment. From dev, again we'll start the job. Again we have to trigger the job. Again we have to create a new delivery pipeline. On top of this, we'll be creating one new delivery pipeline. Yeah. We have to ignore this pipeline. Again, it starts from the SIT environment, SIT, beta, and
right. Yeah, that's correct, Gopal. Yeah, so it's basically like, if throughout the CI/CD pipeline, anywhere, right, if it fails, even at 99% also, the entire pipeline has to be restarted. So that's what you mean essentially. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to show an example how it looks. So a developer develops a code, and immediately will put the code into the some SIT, we can say, system integration testing. After that, we'll be putting into the beta. So, and we'll be putting into the prod fix and prod. So a developer will be developing the code, and he will be putting the code into the Git over here, GitHub. So once the he put the code into the GitHub. So with the help of tool Jenkins, what we'll do is we'll be creating some tags in Jenkins, and middle will be putting the nexus, which will be putting in the jar files, which no developer can edit these files in the over here. So what we'll be doing is, once a develop with the help of Jenkins, we'll be deploying the code into SIT. Once it's done into the data, and we got some with issue. So we got some issue. Okay. Immediately we'll be asking developer to fix the code, and again he has to put the code into the Git. Again from here, again with the help of Jenkins, what we'll do is again we'll be deploying the code into SIT. Again Jenkins. Once here they are successful, it can go to the prod fix environment. So Jenkins will be doing automatically into all the environments. So this is how it works. So previously, how a developer, if you have any issues in beta, developer has to come over here, he has to fix the issue, and immediately he used to push the code into the prod fix. Now, like with the help of continuous delivery pipelines, the entire things got changed. So this is how, Madhu has explained in one of these slides, saying like QA environment is equal to, like dev environment is QA is equal to production. So this is how things work over here. So this is how things works with the help of Git, Jenkins, and access over here.
Okay, just for my understanding.
That's right. Yeah, now this is a very rough explanation, guys. Okay, so you have any doubts you can ask. Sure. But when we get into the actual classes, right, we actually put it in very good slides, and at the same time give good notes also. So you can get even
great.
Good material. You will get good material also. Okay, but you have questions, you can shoot now. Yeah.
Sure. So when you said about Jenkins, which is going to push the code to those environments, so Chef is also you're going to. So can you explain me the difference for Chef?
Yeah.
Is it good? Yeah.
Yes, sure. Okay. So now you put the code into the SIT. Okay. Yeah. Now we want to do a testing, regression testing, or some sanity testing. So how can you test your code? With the help of Chef, we are going to test the code over here. So if we put the code into SIT, so once the testing is completed, what Chef will be doing is, with the help of Chef, okay, we'll be having some test cases which will be helping you to create the servers, like creating servers. Like if you want to test your environment, so suppose like a cloud, you are running some cloud environment. So where you want to, once you put the code into the cloud environment, you want to test. So with the help of Chef, what you do is, here is a Chef. So what with the help of Chef, you gonna with the help of Chef, what you gonna do is, okay, suppose like, this is a cloud. So where with the help of Chef, with the help of code deployed over here, we'll deploy the servers. Servers will get deployed. Servers will get deployed, and the entire code will be testing over in the servers. This is how Chef works. Like not only creating servers. If you want to create any storage, if you want to do any scaling, or if you want to you want to configure any of your applications, in the servers. So entire thing can be done through the Chef. So this is how Chef works over here. So you no need of doing any testing over here. So not only Chef works in this way. So Chef can works in other way. Let me show you one more example for Chef. Only for Chef. So here is a Chef over sits here. So suppose you have some set of servers. Okay. So suppose you want a client want to install some set of he want to install only Apache on 2 servers. Apache and 2 servers, and you want to install some other applications on other servers. Okay, and some other some DB, we can say some DB, and some Logstash or some applications. So on different servers, you want to do a different installation. What I'm going to do is, using Chef, what I can do is, I will be writing a code over here. What I can do is, with the help of my knife, I can push some cookbooks into the particular servers. Like suppose here I have to install Apache, and some application like what you can say, some Cisco applications, or what we can say, some Jenkins applications over here, and you want to install some DB and some replica DB. So where some replica DB, which is same as DB. So suppose this is your environment, which is managed from Chef. So suppose today you have some hundreds of applications using some applications Cisco using from front-end Apache. So some after tomorrow you got 100 more users into the your application. So what the client going to say is, he asks immediately on the spot basis, he will ask me some server. With the help of Chef, if you execute a single command, immediately you can create some set of 2 servers, and all the required Apache will be installing over here. And not only installing Apache, it can create the load balancers. It can create the ports between the servers, and it can create the load balancers, and it can establish the connection between the all these front-end applications, like we can say. So this is how it works. So if you want to deploy some set of servers on the spot basis with the install of everything under your control, this can be done through Chef, which we have the blueprint. A new concept came into our DevOps, like blueprint. What blueprint will be having here is, blueprint contain a image. It's a blueprint image which contain all the details, like all this application will be putting into this image. With the help of Chef, we can build entire environment. You can build in one go. This is how Chef works in an environment. So Chef works for automation of your provisioning and provisioning servers, and installing your applications and replicating your environments. Whereas Jenkins works as building, deploying a continuous integration, continuous deployment, and continuous monitoring. Continuous monitoring can be once the testing is done, you will be doing a continuous testing through the Nagios. This is a Nagios tool which will help you to do a continuous monitoring on the servers. Not only Nagios, we will be using Xenos as well. This is how Xenos tools look like.
Yeah, that's right. So Jenkins is for continuous integration and continuous deployment of your code, your applications. Whereas Chef, I mean, in short, right? Chef is for your provisioning your infrastructure, and additionally applications also on your infrastructure, right? So your platform, provisioning your platform is taken care by Chef, and CI/CD pipeline. That's it in short, right? Your continuous integration is taken care by your Jenkins, and Nagios for monitoring and rest of the tools. Okay.
Perfect. So even Chef has kind of a compatibility for networking devices. Is there any limitation, like it is not accessible to mainframe, or just Linux and Windows servers or Unix servers, or is that such restrictions are there, or?
There are no restrictions. No, we can run the Chef anywhere.
Okay.
We can install Chef client on our phone as well, sir.
Oh, is it? Okay, that's good. So all networking devices and the
yes. That's what I'm saying, right? So in this small, what I'm saying is, we'll be creating a blueprint and images. What we can do is, once you want the environment to be up, it will be installing applications, and it will be configuring the load balancers with the ports. You no need of allowing the ports. Where in application where you want to mention the ports like 80, everything, like everything you no need of mentioning anything. So everything can be taken care by chef. For that we have to we'll having some independent cookbooks. Suppose if you see my cookbooks list, so here like NTP and Moto D, which helps for all these particular ports. So we'll be creating this cookbooks. We'll be pushing along through the applications.
Got it. Hey, Gopal, I think one suggestion, probably you are either on speaker phone or something. You are audible, but it is very difficult to understand your words. So I'm not sure. I mean, this generally happens if you are on a speaker phone and you're a little away from where you're talking. I don't know. I mean.
Okay.
So for Madhu, we can understand, because if there are certain words which you say, it is difficult to guess it because it's not too clear.
Oh, okay. So I think I need to use my headset actually. I'm using my system speaker.
Okay. Yeah, I think that could be the reason, because some of the words are very clear. I mean, I can hear. See, like Madhu, I can clearly hear him.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. Okay, Gopal, so next time, right, have the headset. I was expecting you will have the headset. Okay, we'll fix that. We'll fix that, Srinivas.
Sure. Okay. No, yeah. So good. I mean, I think we got the overall idea. So other thing is the knife programs. Are you going to would that be covered in the training? Like sample knives, program.
Yeah. I will be making sure like everyone in the class should be installing knife on their workstations. So if anyone are using any laptops, if anyone are joining sessions through their their workstations, I'll make sure everyone install knife on their workstations, and I'll be providing some basic cookbooks. Suppose I have some basic cookbooks, which are easy, anyone can understand. I'll be providing those cookbooks, all of them, and I'll asking them to execute those cookbooks on the servers and see how the application is hosting on the web. Like suppose Apache, I'll making sure everyone install Apache on those servers.
Right. So yes, I mean we will cover. So I mean
the knife program.
We will definitely cover that. Yeah, I mean that's part of it.
For knife programs, any prerequisites like Java or something? I don't know. I mean, I saw some code which you mentioned, which was there, and I couldn't.
Yeah. So for a DevOps person, you no need of doing a development of Ruby, but you should have a basic understand of Ruby. Like someone see the code, right? So you should be able to understand.
Gopal, let me add this here, okay? See, it's not like you need to know full-fledged a particular language. I mean, I will say this way. One should have scripting skills, okay? One should have scripting skills to actually write some code in knife. I would say that, and understanding that is not very difficult. Maybe we can do some prep work for the candidates in the class, okay? So if someone has to write it, so yeah, some scripting skills one must have to actually get onto these things.
Correct. Okay, so this is knife is, I mean, it has its own proprietary, or what is it? I mean, it is. How do you configure those programs? The script is in a Perl or Shell, or how is it?
No, knife comes with the. We will be configuring the Chef client. So we'll be getting the software from the Chef vendor. So using that particular one, we have to install our local workstation, and we have some keys registration with the Chef management console. So we have to register and we have to download all our key file, and I'll be helping you to configure the knife.rb file. So where I can show you here.
Let me add Gopal here. Okay, so knife is how do I put it? Is an RPM. If I talk in Linux language, right? Just download and install, and then it has it's like a shell, if you ask me, right? And you are running some commands in knife, and what are you doing? You are pushing. I use the word push for easily understanding. Okay, so you are pushing some cookbooks using knife onto your nodes. So these cookbooks are written in Ruby. So that's really in the big picture. Okay, so knife, what you're doing is running some commands. That's it.
Got it. No, I got it. So it is Ruby, and Knife is more of a configuration, and the programs, configuration programs are in Ruby. You got it.
That's correct. Yes, exactly.
Got it. Got it. That's good enough. So I think Ruby is something which maybe if you kind of not a prerequisite, but if somebody needs to know the basics, so that will be helpful. Got it.
Exactly, that's correct. So, someone knows Perl, well, not even Perl, man. I mean, if someone knows Bash, shell scripting, yeah, that would be good. And someone knows Perl, a little bit like PHP. I'm just saying as a base, right? Even if you don't know Ruby, right? I think it's okay. And when I open a Ruby code, when I open a Ruby code, definitely these cookbooks are written in Ruby. When I open Ruby code, I should be able to kind of understand that, link the flow in that code. That should be enough. And if someone knows Ruby already, yeah, pretty much a plus point. You can work a lot closely with the developers then.
Okay. Yeah. That is good. Cool. I think we got the idea. So, is there anything else you would want to cover or two?
Yeah, I think coming to Genos,
that's all more or less.
I just want to show you about Genos, how Genos is.
Okay, sure. Good. No, I was just
yeah.
Good.
So this is how a Genos console looks like. So so where we can see overlay servers over here.
Gopal, in the interest of time, right? You can just quickly run through those snapshots. But end of the day, see, look at the, look at the target audience now. Everyone is an infrastructure manager now, right? Okay, so they might, if not Genos, Nagios, they might have used some other Tivoli or even enterprise monitoring tool, right? So, but the crux of the matter here is, yes, there are monitoring tools. And if you see, right, in general, in the industry, whoever is adapting this DevOps, open source tools, I'll use that, okay? Chef has become enterprise again, but in general, it was an open source tool in the past. So they go for open source tools like this, Nagios or Genos and all those things, right? But it can be any tool, any monitoring tool. It doesn't even have to be an open source tool. You can integrate this with, even if the organization is using an enterprise tool, it can integrate with that too. So any monitoring tool looks same. So these are other monitoring tools. But what we cover in the training in general is are these two tools. So that's essentially what we're trying to say. Okay.
Got it.
Yeah. So that's more or less like it. Yeah, Gopal, thanks for a very detailed explanation, Gopal. So it was. I hope it was comprehensive. From the demo point of view, and then is of useful. Okay. So if you guys have any questions, you can start asking us.
Sure. So one quick thing, you said about Nagios, but anyway, this is for all monitoring tools. It should be easily configurable with Chef and all the other dependent tools like even Remedy, BMC Petrol, or even with the ITSM tool Remedy ServiceNow. It should not be a challenge, right?
Yeah, there is no challenge. You can monitor anything.
Okay, good.
Yeah, integrating is easy. In fact, yeah.
Integrating is easy. Okay, good. The other thing is when you talk about the practicals. Now, how is it? Is this going to be classroom led or online instructor led?
This is, to my knowledge, until now, this is going to be a instructor-led online course, just like how we presented here. And in terms of practice or lab exercises, right? We do have a lab created, and you will be given access to it. This lab is accessed via public IP over internet, and you will be given a username, password to connect to this. It's like your RDP, remote desktop connection. Okay. Once you connect, from there you will be given additional details as to connect to which server for your Chef or Jenkins or anything. So that setup is going to be ready by the time we start the training. Your own setup for you.
Correct. Okay. So maybe maybe at a later point in time we can discuss this. But right now we are good. So maybe because there could be some restrictions, the iGate networks may not be allowing those IPs. But we can talk about it at a later point in time. But we may need to do some kind of a testing or something, how it works, and then we can talk.
Yeah, that's fine. And if you're going to, I mean, if the next question is like, if you would like us to set up something in, giving some of your, boxes, we can do that as well. That's not an issue. I mean, something at your premises, but just give us a connection or access intermittently, or rather, for a momentary connection. Then we can set it up for you, and you can practice on your own within your infrastructure as well. We can do that. I mean, if that was your question, but.
Right, sure. So that's maybe Vinayak, Srini, you have any other questions?
No, that was, I mean, the question that Nimesh asked us now regarding the practicals. We'll have to work out something, but as you suggested, if there is a way or a facility to install it within our infrastructure, that will be the greatest thing possible.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that. I mean, like I said, right? So before even we start the class, give us some time. Let's say few days to have everything up and running. Configure it, and once we are good, right, then we can get started with the class. I mean, it's the comfort level of you and I. I mean, you and us, both parties.
Okay, right. Okay, that's good. Regarding the price and all, I'm not sure this forum, but maybe we can connect it separately. We would we'll be honest with you that we are evaluating vendors, and then we will be going ahead with the shortlisting one for the actual training, and we are looking for a long-term relationship, which is just not going to end with one training. And that's where we would want a very competitive price, and we can talk it offline, or maybe some other forum. But this is what our expectation is, so we can have this partnership going on.
Yeah, sure. I would love to have this going, and that really keeps me also happy. So on the like you mentioned, right? So this is not really the right forum. So I guess you can talk to the institute organizers. I think they are the right authority to talk and even further negotiate on the pricing. So I mean, I'm just doing my part of it here. Okay. So they're the right authority.
Got it. Okay. So Madhu, just your experience. I mean, you talked about some 15, 20. I'm sorry, I missed it out. So did you do all those things in your experience? I mean, in your current role, or how is it? I mean, just curious to know.
Yeah, sure. Oh, in fact, I should have added this right at the beginning. Sorry. So I actually have been working in the IT, and in fact, mostly on the infrastructure side, infrastructure management, I would say. For the last 15 years or so, I worked as a Windows administrator, Unix administrator, a clear case, administrator for some time. And then I was a developer, in fact, in the very beginning of my career for some time. And off late, right, obviously I'm in the DevOps field, and before jumping into this DevOps, right, I was actually a Unix administrator. So and then I was managing a team also, right? So I'm mostly on the infrastructure side, infrastructure management side. I worked for different organizations and clients. I used to work for a couple of I would say Indian services organizations, top ones. You can easily guess which what I'm talking about when I said that. And I worked for in a captive model in a couple of financial services companies in Hyderabad and Bangalore. And right now I'm with a product-based company, which are well in core product development, and which actually have adopted DevOps. So they have given me the opportunity to contribute. So, and I'm making, I would say, well, a decent contribution in adapting DevOps and then supporting in that role.
Cool. Okay, that's cool. Great. I mean, in your current role, you are actually doing a DevOps kind of implementation for some of your customers?
Yes, yeah. So I'm not doing it for a customer right now. I'm doing it for our own company. So this is like a captive. This is a product-based MNC that I'm working right now. So this is for our own organization. So I'm not. It's not like I'm doing it for a client. I'm doing it for our organization right now.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
The instructors for the actual course would be you and Gopal, or
That's correct. Yeah. So I'll be doing the all the course, and well, I will be there even for the lab exercises also. It's not like I won't be there, but he 100% who will be assisting in terms of lab, like setting up your environment. I'll be there. In fact, initial setup I will be there definitely, and then while the candidates are working on your on their exercises, they get some doubt, the regular ones. And every day in the class, when we discuss, right? Okay, yesterday I practiced something, I got this issue, let's fix it. I'll be there definitely. But yeah, so as to assist me, in fact, we have Gopal. Okay, so primarily I'll be doing everything. But yeah, we have Gopal also assist me here.
Great. And also, how would the timings work out? So, I mean, the total hours you said would be around 40 to 45 hours. So, would it be like daily 8 hours, or spread across many days, or how would it be?
Yeah, in fact, that was my question once we reached towards the end, right? That's what I was interested to know. So, usually I'll try to be extremely open here, okay? So, like I mentioned, I'm working in an organization too, right? Simultaneously. So I do my regular business anyway. Now, usually whenever I take online classes like this, right, I choose either in the morning our time. In fact, I did a lot of these classes for the folks in US, okay? And that is kind of, it works for me like in the morning time morning India time for us. Which is evening time for US guys, right? So that way it was always both win-win for both parties. And in our case, right, if the class, right, if they're ready in the evening hours, like this time, 7 p.m., between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. is perfectly fine for me. So we can do it this way. I mean, either in the morning India time or in the evening India time is fine for me. Like if we do 1 or 1.5 hour classes per day. And there is an advantage to this. You actually take it in slowly. I mean, this is my experience, right? Even if you miss a class, it's not the end of the world. You can catch up really quickly, if a student misses, right? And other ways we can do it like a very totally 100% corporate way, like full day classes, right? So that means we need to work out something for that. Maybe work out on a weekend, like club a Friday or a Monday with weekend, Saturday and Sunday, make it a 3 or 4 day thing, or do it totally weekends, morning to evening, okay, over 2 or 3 weekends. So we have that flexibility with us, however we want it. So, but I wanted to hear from you, like how are you expecting it, and we can cut a perfect line between these two. So how is it that you require?
So we are actually open to it, but at the same time we do not want to stretch it that long. So typically we'll have to work this out, but maybe half a day or something like that. Maybe you're saying 1.5 to 2 hours. So yeah, close to that, not 2 hours, but at least a little more, so that it completes within 7-8 days. We'll have to work it out. I mean, we are also not too particularly decided on that. But we do not want to, keep it too long, for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we can work like, I don't know how is the class comfortable doing it on a weekend. If they are comfortable doing it on a weekend, I'm comfortable. So if we have to do it on a weekday, I'll have to schedule, rather plan myself, accordingly, and which hours that we choose also we need to look into it. And yeah, I guess may not be right now, maybe over the post this, right, when you're talking to the organizers and then I talk to them, and between us probably we could have a quick discussion once again also to finalize these things. I'm open to all that.
Perfect. Sounds good. Okay. Good. I think Srini, sorry.
Yeah, Madhu, this is Vinayak. Just one question before we sign off. Do we have any printed material for all this, like the operations manual or something for the entire course, which you will be sharing, or it would be just online training and practicals?
Well, as of now, we don't have any printed material, but we do have soft copy of of a lot of the things that we are going to do, right? I won't call it a cookbook, like a operations manual or a how-to manual, right? So we don't have it like a a printed and a thick cover book sort of thing right now. Okay, but we can share all those soft copies. Okay, I mean there is not much difference between a soft copy and hard copy, right? So we'll definitely share all that, and we don't have like I mean, I'll be very open again. Like, you had this corporate trainings, right? If you go to a vendor like EMC's, NetApps, or Suns and Microsoft, okay, no more Sun, Oracle's and Microsoft. Like, we don't have that printed kind of a material. We do have soft copy, properly organized, properly, put in place, I would say. And we'll share that with you. And I guess that should be very useful too. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And also the sessions recording can be accessed by.
Yeah, Gopal, go ahead. You were saying something.
Man. As Madhu said, we'll be providing, we'll be showing you how to do configuring the class, and moreover, we'll be providing the documents. Like whatever we are saying, each and every step, we'll be providing the document.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you were asking a question, right, regarding recording session and so on. Like
correct. So.
Yeah, that can be provided. I mean, as you see, right, I think even this session is being recorded, okay? So you can show this demo to your guys as well, the other class, for their reference. And we will ensure that all the classes are recorded, and so that you can refer to them in the future. I guess that should be possible. Shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, sounds good.
Good.
All right. Srini, with that,
you
want to conclude the call,
I think at that time I'm unable to clone the Git. Using Git, I'm unable to clone the folders. So I got the root cause. So why I'm unable to clone?
We saw that all, Gopal, okay? While we were talking, I was watching the screen. What are all the things you're doing, okay? But thanks, okay?
Yeah. I just want to show you how a developer will be doing. Like he'll be downloading the code over here. He'll be going to the folder and he'll be doing all these modifications, and using again Git bash, again he'll be putting back to the servers.
Okay. Yeah.
This is how it works.
Good stuff. Okay. So this is good, right? Yeah, good stuff, Gopal. So in fact, these are the kind of the things that we will be experience, I'm sure, and then trying to fix and then record those things as well. So this is a good example how our training is going to go ahead when we are in motion. Okay. So guys, any further things, or you can shoot. Okay, Srinivas, anything from me? Srinivas, Vinayak, or any questions you have anymore?
No, Srinivas here. No, I think at this point I don't have anything.
Okay, great. Okay, so I think it was a great time. Even I enjoyed this session. It's been very interactive as well. And thanks, Gopal. You too. You did a good job. And thanks, guys. And hope we will reconnect again, and we'll have a good partnership going forward. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Gopal.
Sure. Yeah, bye.
Thank you.